welcome. This is WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm Michael Hanna in special conversation with Ocean City Jazz Fest performer Big Mike Hart, guitarist and producer, multi hat wearer. How's it going today, sir?
Man, it's going well. Blessed to be here.
Indeed, indeed. And we're looking forward to seeing you in just about a week or so on North Topsail Beach. Have how much time have you spent in North Carolina before?
You know what? I get an opportunity to go maybe a couple times a year, a show or two here and there, but I don't get a lot of time to enjoy the city like that.
When you've been in North Carolina, where have you touched down?
Primarily Charlotte. Charlotte is a main one. Um Raleigh. Is that North Carolina? That's North Carolina, right?
Yes,
Raleigh Durham.
yes.
Okay. Yeah,
We're
yeah.
here in
Those are
Durham. We're here in Durham, and Raleigh is just a skip up the road. That's the capital
okay.
city, of course. And
Okay,
then
got you.
Charlotte is about two hours west of here. So, but
Okay.
I know a lot of folks tend to want to. Charlotte is where all of the banks, the big money is out there. So people like to party there.
Okay.
But
That's
the
without a
culture
doubt.
is here in Durham. It's indeed.
Okay, okay. I like that. I like
No.
that.
Certainly. Were you performing when you've been here before, or just kind of maybe visiting for other reasons? Have you done shows
Uh
here?
just
In North
just,
Carolina?
just performing, man, on tour, had an opportunity to hit those cities, man, with a few artists. So I'm excited to be coming as an artist myself though. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. No, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. North Topsail Beach for
Yeah.
Ocean City Jazz Fest. What day are you performing?
I am on the 4th of July.
Okay.
Yes. So we bringing the fireworks to the stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now you're based out of California, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep. Based in LA.
or is that your home of origin? Is that where you're from?
I'm from Sacramento.
Ah,
I'm from the capital of California.
all right.
Yeah.
There's a different vibe. Of course, people think of California, they think of LA, and of course, you've got to have spent, and I'm pretty sure that's where your studio is based, right?
It is. Yes, my studio's in North Hollywood.
You're from California. You're
Mm.
based out of there. How much time have you spent on the East Coast, or is most of your work still based in on the West Coast?
You know what, man? I spend a lot of time on the East Coast, primarily in the fall when I'm on tour. That's typically when we do our tour bus run. So I spend about 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes 8 to 10 weeks, depending on how long the tour is. But that's primarily when I'm on the East Coast a lot.
Indeed, indeed. Any favorite
Yeah.
spots that you like to frequent?
I love New York. You gotta love New York, man. I love DC. DC is a vibe. Um, I just like the East Coast altogether, man, because I like it when it's cold, because you can put on a long jacket, you could dress real fresh. You know what I mean? That's the vibe of the East Coast, man, for me that I get to dress down a little bit. So, yeah.
Indeed. Now this might as well be something like the West Coast here. North Carolina gets pretty warm. We're not seeing too
Does
much.
it?
No, no,
Okay.
no long sleeves around these 90-degree days here. But
I'll make sure I got my t-shirt on and I'm pretty light layered for sure.
absolutely, you're going to the beach, brother. You gotta be beach ready.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man, for
No,
sure.
certainly. Thinking about some of the things in terms of musically that you're going to be offering at the festival. Certainly, we've got some music that we want to play from your discography. But yeah, what can we expect to hear from you at the festival? Works from your most recent project, or or just all across, or
Yeah, it's gonna be a combination, man. Definitely gonna have the hits. We're gonna play Cigar Lounge. My number one. Gonna play Penthouse Suite. My top 40. I'm gonna play my new single cover of "Working Day and Night" by the incredible Mr. Michael Jackson.
and interestingly, we're having this conversation on the anniversary of his passing, and I certainly was going to.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that.
Yes, indeed. No, it's a crazy coincidence. And so yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about that working day and night. MJ, certainly as a musician, the phrase itself, harkens to the nature of the lifestyle. But of all of the MJ tunes, why that one?
that's probably my top three favorite um, from his catalog. And when I listen to that record, man, the melody just lends itself to playability for guitar. It's just such an easy melodic line to play. And it's full of energy. And I hadn't really done any covers that I commercially released. And with the upcoming film, Michael, it just truly felt like the right time to, capitalize on that moment to, celebrate, the king of pop and deliver a cover, as a single for myself and, add a great record to my catalog. And that song just felt right and it turned out amazing.
It absolutely did, man. Cheers to that record indeed. And that one it's not a part of an album. It's a one-off single, correct?
It's a single right now. It will be a part of my next project that I'm currently working on. Um, yeah, it definitely will be on that.
Okay, the forthcoming project. That's when can we expect that? Later, maybe next year or later this year?
Later 2027,
Okay.
yeah, later 2027, man. It's in the works. A lot of great ideas and material right now, but still in the writing process and, bouncing ideas with my team, trying to figure out the right direction. We have a pretty clear view, but, everything's still fresh.
Indeed, indeed. Well, for the sake of conversation and being able to hear the music that we just talked about, we're gonna take a moment to hear the music of Big Mike Hart doing working day and night. This is WNCU. We'll take a pause. All right, all right. This is WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm Michael Hanna in a special conversation with Ocean City Jazz Fest performer, guitarist, and producer, Mr. Big Mike Hart. Thanks for being here with us, sir.
Man, so happy, man. Thank you.
Indeed. So we just heard music. We heard your cover of "Working Day and Night." We were talking about it on serendipitously the anniversary of MJ's passing, and um,
Yes.
and indeed. So talking about being in the studio and as well
Mhm.
of you working as a producer, right? Are you doing your recording in your own studio, or when you're working on your projects? Are you working with other studios, or do you work primarily in your own?
I'm about 95% in my own studio, unless I'm in a hotel somewhere, working day and night in particular. I recorded all of my lead stuff in a hotel room in Hawaii. I was
Oh,
out with Boney James. We were performing at the Blue Note in Hawaii, and I knew I had to hurry up and finish the record. And I had all my portable studio equipment with me, and I went ahead and finished up, all of the verse stuff and ad lib stuff in the hotel room. But everything else was done in the studio.
indeed, indeed. So your studio based in LA. Now, I know
Mhm.
you're as well a part of a production team, Bigs and Bags,
Yes.
right? Did I get that
Yep.
right?
Bigs and bangs. Yep.
Bigs and Bangs,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
So your partner, is he
Mhm.
working very closely with you on all of these
Oh,
records? Because
everything, everything. He's a part of everything, man. He's the Jimmy Jam to my Terry Lewis. We are the modern Gamble and Huff, and you know what I mean. That's our thing, man. Buddy Bangs, that's my dog.
shout out
It's
to
my
Buddy
road
Bangs.
dog. Yeah, shout out to Buddy Bangs and our co-writer Brandon Harris, who's also my drummer, co-writer, incredible lyricist, and he tours with me as well. So he will be there on 4th of July. Also,
Okay,
yeah,
indeed. So yeah, keeping the team close and on deck. Yeah,
absolutely.
that certainly has to keep some things streamlined in terms of not having to worry about, recommunicating ideas. There's just
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Talk to me more about your process in the studio of recording when you're working with different folks. Oh, you're saying already you got your drummer who's there with you. What are
Yeah.
some other instruments that you enjoy recording in the studio? I know producers and engineers. There's a level of who's more favorable. Who do you like to work with in terms of just instruments? You don't have to call names within
You
the
know,
studio.
I'm a fan of everything, man. I mean, I'm just a fan of sound and sonics. You know what I mean? I grew up in the era where you used to make a beat on the lunch table with a pencil. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? And so, being able to capture sound and develop rhythm, from anything. I could be in the car and hear somebody with bad brakes and a car horn and figure out how to incorporate that into a song and create some sort of rhythmic pattern from it. But I do a lot of live um, recording and a lot of live production. So just getting down to the basics of a raw rhythm section. Guitar, keys, drums, and bass. Creating the foundation. Just old school, man, and then bringing in the auxiliary elements of horns and strings. Really love horns and strings, man, because I feel like they're the tip of the iceberg. They give the sheen and the color to accentuate chord progressions and moments and transitions. So but I enjoy the process of it all because they all have their challenges. So being able to figure out how to bring the best out of whatever that instrument is, whoever I'm working with, bringing out the personality of the musician. All those things are fun because it's the creative process, it's the challenge, but it's the collaboration. I think that is the most important element of it all.
Absolutely. And speaking of collaborators, certainly you've worked with so many amazing people. And we can talk
Yes.
more about that one particular who's gonna be at the festival, Eric Darius. Um,
Yes.
and so is there any chance that y'all get on the stage together at the festival?
You want to know? I'm gonna give you guys the biggest secret of it all. Eric called me, and he said, "Hey, bro, are you able to play with me on the 5th?" Because his guitar player was unavailable. So I will actually be playing with Eric for his entire set
Wow.
on the next day. Myself and my keyboard player as well. He reached out and was like, "Hey, bro, can you do me a solid?" And I will always do something for that brother. Eric is my guy. So I look forward to being able to perform 2 days in a row.
That's going to be amazing. And this is a good time as well to remind folks this is WNCU. I'm Michael Hanna in conversation with Big Mike Hart. We'll take another pause.
This is WNCU. I'm Jay Simone, and we're about to start wine tasting with Melanated Wine, one of our sponsors.
Gotta spend some special thanks to our sponsor for the party bus, Melanated Wine, for providing the spirits on the bus.
Thank you, Melanated Wine. It did the job.
Thank you for the wine.
All the wines were wonderful.
Thank you, Melanated. The Riesling was awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, this is WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm Michael Hanna in conversation with Big Mike Hart, Ocean City Jazz Fest performer, guitarist, producer. Thank you for being here today with us, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Indeed. So we were talking about you making your secondary appearance with Eric Darius at the festival, and certainly speaking of more of the collaborations that you've done, particularly on your most recent album, the 2025 Modern Classic. And
hmm
you mentioned earlier the single Cigar Lounge, and that one has Boney James on it. What was it like working with him? I believe you've worked with him pretty much in the past before. I saw some other work.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been touring with Boney as his guitar player about 6 years now. Um, Done some production on the gosh, I can't remember the name of the album. He's I think had a two albums out. But anyway, I produced a record on him called Memphis that went #2 on Billboard. Me and my production partner. So as I was working on my album, and I finished Cigar Lounge, it was just missing a little something. And that record was right up Boney's alley. He heard it and signed on to be a part immediately. And it went straight to the top of the charts. Yeah.
Seems like you got the winning formula there, my man.
Hey, listen, man, you know what? If I had some wood, I would knock on it. I just try to create stuff that makes me feel good and that's transparent and relatable. And, I let God do the rest.
Indeed, indeed.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, talking about your writing process. You talked a little bit about your production process in terms of
Hmm.
taking inspiration, perhaps from the sounds you may hear while you're traveling in the car. But
Hmm.
in terms of penning music or lyrics, what talk to
Hmm.
us about some of that process? Are you doing a lot of that outside of the studio, or are you inside of the studio creating?
Um, it depends, man. Lyrics, they just come when they download. I could be pretty much anywhere. Um, I could be watching a movie, I could hear a title, I could read something that inspires, a concept. I'm a heavy, heavy country music fan. If a lot of people want to know just part of my formula, anything, that I work on, no matter the genre, will have some sort of country uh, influence on it because I think country music is just great from a storytelling perspective. And so I try to implement that element, man, because I'm a big fan of songs that tell a story, that they're about something. Um, so that's the biggest component to my writing process, um, both uh, lyrically and musically, melodically. I just try to, create stuff that is has a lasting impression and has some sort of context to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, here in North Carolina, you're definitely gonna hear some good country music,
Come
and
on
so
now.
you can't get away from it here in the South, and we welcome that. We definitely play our myriad
Yes.
of styles here at the station. And thinking of when we think of the guitar, oftentimes that is
Yeah.
an easy step over to think of country music, particularly like the acoustic guitar. But I
Yes.
think I think most readily when people think of guitar, you might think of rock and roll, perhaps. But in
Yeah.
general, guitar gets to occupy these different spaces. Who are some of your guitar influences?
Man, uh number one is gonna be Prince. Prince is, you know, he's just the GOAT to me. I'm a big funk head, James Brown and Parliament Funkadelic, and I grew up on all that classic funk music, man. So, Catfish Collins, who's Boosie Collins' brother, late great, Eddie Hazel. And then, obviously, the super, jazz guru Benson, Hendrix, and then local heroes who I've had one-on-one opportunities to grow up with and have firsthand experience, which we all know guys like Jubu, legendary, Northern California guitar hero, who's a big brother of mine. I got to watch him firsthand. Then local heroes from Sacramento, we call him Big T, Terry Jones, Lumen LC Williams. Those are guys that taught me, Odell Ross. These are Sacramento Giants. And my big brother, Derek DOA Allen, who's a bass player and guitar player, platinum producer. And then the guy who put the guitar in my hand, my Uncle Jimmy, who I watched. Um, as a kid, who I was chastised for touching his guitars when I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? All of those from international superstars to local town heroes make up um, the majority of who I am as a guitarist.
That's amazing. We stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
And you had on that record on the closing of your album, you had your family, Uncle Jimmy, on the record.
Yes.
I seem to
Yeah.
believe there's a bunch of people on that record, but
Yeah.
was that his voice?
That was his voice. Yeah, that's my uncle singing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could feel all of just the wisdom and
Oh
the
yeah.
unwavering style that you can only get when you've done something for a certain amount of time, and that
Yes.
grew on
Yeah.
that for sure. That one was called Magic Shave, if I'm not
Magic Shave. Yes. Yeah,
that's a fun one, man.
that's a special record, man. That is a special record.
Talking about some of your other records, another one that I think that we're gonna hear, which is not, I don't believe, titled after the Usher track, but similarly titled "Lovers and Friends."
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to us
That's a
about
spe-
that record, how that came together.
that's a special record, man. It features my brother, and who was the very first person who gave me a opportunity when I moved from Sacramento to Los Angeles some 13, 14 years ago. Um, Mr. Kenny Lattimore, legendary R&B singer. Kenny was the first gig that I had when I moved to LA. He hired me as his guitar player, and then I shortly became his musical director. And we've traveled the world, domestically and internationally together, shared big stages, down to theaters, and we have a real brotherhood, man. That dude is as solid as they come. You work with a lot of great artists with gifts and talents, but it's rare to get good people. And Kenny is one of those people, man, that his character supersedes his gift.
Mm.
And as I worked on this album, it was important to have somebody of that stature, come in and be a part of this record. And me and Brandon, who I mentioned as my co-writer and my drummer, we co-wrote this record, LNF, Lovers and Friends, and catered it to Kenny because Kenny sings about love. He sings about, relationships, and we wanted to pin something that would lead to his strength, not only vocally but context wise. And we connected after I laid a very, very rough vocal demo that I will not share. We reached out to a good friend of ours, Madison, out of Texas, who writes and does a lot of vocal production for Kenny. And he laid down the real vocal demo and put it in Kenny's lap, man, in Wheelhouse. And then Kenny came to the studio and he knocked it out the ballpark, and Lovers and Friends just became an amazing record. Shout out to Kenny and incredible Sacramento talent, a young lady named Elle Nicole, who is also doing some backgrounds on there. We wanted to add the female touch, like they used to do in the 90s when you get a nice little female bed of vocals up under that hook and pre-hook, man, and she came through and did her thing as well, and that record turned out to be an R&B classic in my eyes, so I want to share with you guys.
Absolutely, we're gonna hear that right now. Music from Big Mike Hart featuring Kenny Lattimore. This is Lovers and Friends on WNCU. We'll take another pause. This is WNCU, the Triangle's only station for jazz and more. I'm Michael Hanna in special conversation with guitarist, producer, hit maker, Mr. Big Mike Hart, who will be performing at the Ocean City Jazz Fest in North Topsail Beach. We are happy to be in conversation with you today, sir.
Man, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to chop it up with y'all. This is dope.
Absolutely. And so we just talked about your record with Kenny Lattimore, Lovers and Friends,
Mhm.
and certainly
Mhm.
you've worked with so many amazing artists as well. Lots of amazing vocalists. Um, Keith Sweat, Kim,
Yeah, yeah.
who are some other vocalists, some other singers that you've had notable experiences with?
Most recently, I was the musical director for the incomparable Mr. Joe Thomas.
Mm.
I just stepped down from that position to focus on my artistry, but I've had the opportunity to work with him and the superwoman herself, Miss Karen White. I was her musical director as well. Um, Gosh, man, just so many to name. Glenn Jones, Lloyd, Mario, Tamia, uh, just just a lot of people, man. Yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a blessing, man.
What would you say is the difference of your approach, particularly live in the when you're recording and producing? I know that there's a more open space to layer and to mix things as you really hear them. But when you're performing live and having to do I guess a few things. If you're the musical director, you're not just in the band, you're also leading the band.
Yes.
So what is that experience like as opposed to being the front man for your own shows?
It's a different hat, man, because you have to juggle um talents of other, incredible people, other personalities. You have to, provide a security that you know what you're doing. You have to be a leader while being a listener. It's not a dictatorship. It's a position of service. You know what I mean? I'm here to help uh, paint on the canvas whatever the vision the artist sees. You know what I mean? While navigating, a group of guys, both in the band, um, engineers, staff. There's so many moving parts in this world of touring and live shows that cohesively make up a concert, man. And you have to, you know, help all personalities gel, help, um, organize and, just, over deliver, you know what I mean? Because ultimately it's about the consumer. That person that spent their last dollar to come spend, 90, 30 to 90 minutes with you and whatever artist that's on that bill. And for whatever set time you have, you want to give them their money's worth, with no excuses, sick, tired, no matter how long you've traveled from one state to another, city to another. And so, ultimately you want to keep that morale up and, just have great shows, as much as possible and navigate through, any and all difficulties. And, that's the job of a musical director, man, is to, direct musically and make it happen. So, it's not for everybody, but it's an honor and a privilege to hold that position. So, yeah, it's been great.
No, you speak with the care and the charisma and the courtesy of someone who genuinely not only enjoys but really does care for the culture of doing the job that you do so wonderfully well. And I imagine that you'll be able to do a little bit of both. You'll be able to hang back as you said you're going to be in the rhythm section on
Yes.
on day two, but up front
Yes.
on day one when you're performing, you'll be able to lead from example in your own
Absolutely.
stead. Well, it has been an honor and a pleasure to be in conversation with you today, sir. And we're
Man,
looking forward to seeing you on
same.
at North Topsail.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be a party. We're gonna have a good time. And I'm honored, man, to step on a soil full of legacy and culture and to be a part of history, man. Thank you guys for the interview, WNCU. And thank you, Ocean City, for the opportunity, man, to travel all the way from California and bring a little West Coast vibes to the legendary festival. So I look forward to it.
We're looking forward to it as well, man.
Yes,
Appreciate you
sir.
being in conversation with us. This is WNCU.
Thank you.